In the previous part of my lecture, I have discussed about what are the causes of team conflict. To name a few, we talked about the perceived breach of faith and trust, the unresolved conflict, the reasons of miscommunication, the personality clashes, the differences in the learned values of the people, and stress and the tension beneath the surface, and followed by the ego issues. So in the end, we discussed about that these are the possible factors, but the list is not complete and comprehensive in itself. So there are multiple factors which play a pivotal role in adding to the conflicting situation, which is manifested in their behavior and deadlocks in the management, and overall it is detrimental to the organization. And so we need to understand the each one's perspective, the empathetic attitude, understanding each and every factor which can be a source of conflict to the people, and a conflict may arise as a result of misunderstanding also. So we need to understand in a very deep way so that all these situations can be avoided to the maximum possible extent. So in this part of the lecture, we would be talking about the conflict resolution techniques, which are very, very important in the modern contemporary organizations. So the first and the most important is don't worry about winning or being correct. So when you are dealing in an organization, your perspective should not be that I am correct or I am the one who has to win always. So if you say untick to this particular factor, then the winning of the particular stress and the conflict is sure. But yes, if you are always insisting on the paradigms and the perspective of that I am the one who's correct and I want to win the battle, and I want to always be the winner, then of course then you may have to actually see the darkness of the organization, team members, and the growth. You will not see the light. So the first and the foremost strategy, which is very, very important in the modern day organizations, is about don't worry about winning or being correct. So when it comes to the dealing with the conflict at the work, the only win is a shared one that leads to a de-escalation, the new common ground, and the conflict resolution. Seeing a person or a team or the opposite side of a conflict as your adversary will condemn both parties to remain adversaries and will undermine the following conflict resolution tactics, so which will raise the likelihood of a mutually beneficial settlement. So out of this, the first is don't worry about winning or being correct, and further explanation to this is this can be also very challenging, especially if you have a history of clashes with one disagreeing with certain someone. So, or if you are very certain you are correct, but recurring dispute, no matter how minor, emphasize the importance of the notion. So, when tackled in a mutually respectable environment, conflict can reveal more about your team or client's expectations and the communication styles. So, arming you with the best knowledge to discover a solution that is best for the client, the team, and for the project. The second most important strategy for the conflict resolution is about look for a root cause rather than a person to blame. So stop playing a blame game and try to find out who actually is the culprit. Go to the root, find out the reason. That can really help in the conflict resolution. And we know that the people make mistakes as a project managers because we are frequently the team members that notices them, and it is feasible to focus on an individual error without going so far as to assign a blame, and you can do so by looking at a point in the process when the error occurred. So did this person have all the information that need to be accomplished their job properly? And of course, the second is look for a root cause rather than a person to blame. The further explanation to this particular topic is, did your processes, checks and balances function as they should have? Was there a loss of context when the material was passed around? Instead of, berating someone, focus on the process might help you avoid a mistake in the future and give your team a confidence that you got their back when the things go wrong. So after all, everyone, including the project managers, they make a mistake. The third most important conflict resolution strategy is about define what constitutes the acceptable behavior. Setting a standard of the behavior in the workplace before there is even a hint of a conflict can help to mitigate or even eliminate the possible difficulties. So they will define what is and is not suitable if you give them the freedom to do so. And it is, however, your obligation as a manager to create the tone. You can help with the team building and the leadership development by writing the specific job descriptions, creating a framework for how discussions are run, noting the hierarchy and who is responsible for what, defining a proper business practices, choosing which project management tool to use, and so on. So the more guidelines you establish, the better the team will be, able to follow them. The next is, don't avoid conflict. There are numerous ways to respond to the disagreement in the workplace. So depending on the type of the person and the manager you are, you may, for example, ignore it and let the participants figure it out on their own. This isn't necessarily the worst course of the action. The teams must be able to work together, and one of the tools they will need to do so is a dispute resolution. However, it's a mistake to avoid dealing with the disagreement because it makes you uncomfortable or because you do not want to, chastise someone. Of course, dealing with such issues is very responsibility of a manager. So you have an authority and you should use it whenever. Failure to do so gives a conflict legs to bring it out, the confrontation that will have an even more negative impact on the business. The next more important dispute resolution or a conflict resolution strategy is staying away. A proper strategy for resolving the conflict is to avoid them altogether rather than confronting difficulties. Some people would rather avoid them altogether. And this is due to the fact that the fundamental conflict persists, and avoidance, on the other hand, can be very useful approach for minimizing the negative energy in a situation and returning it to the later. The next is possessiveness. Dominance is the polar opposite of avoidance. This occurs when a person involved in a personality conflict or even a functional dispute seems no other option for resolving the problem except to solve it alone. And it's commonly referred to as my way or highway mentality. So the next is your making consensus. So compromise is the most effective of all these three dispute resolution tactics. This entails both the parties agreeing on a common aim and then giving up the parts of their arguments until they can both come with a suitable solution. Compromise is difficult and it necessitates a certain level of emotional intelligence. So this is especially true when it comes to the comprehending the viewpoint of another person. Now we will be talking on a very important conflict resolution strategy, and we have discussed as of now so many important factors and so many important strategies which are really helpful in the conflict resolution of the modern day organizations. So now we are going to discuss about the pick a neutral location. Changing the environment is one of the first stages in resolving any problem. People are enraged and their rage is frequently linked to a certain location. It may sound strange, but simply removing the individuals from the room where they are fighting might also help put the conflict into perspective. Recognize the indicators of the group strife. You need to learn to recognize the early indicators of the conflict and try to deal it as soon as possible. Many people, including the leaders, they are wary of conflict. The prompt resolution of dispute, on the other hand, prevents the difficulties from festering. So this eliminates and long-term impact on the productivity. Have one-to-one conversation with the team members. Don't pick a side. Assume the best intention of others and approach the situation with an open mind. Allow the team members to come up and with their own solutions, encouraging them to find a common ground. The next is you should pay attention to your relationships. It will be very easier to treat the disagreements simply as a dialogue to undertake together and towards the common goals and the outcomes. So if you realize that your relationship with your co-workers is the key to continue collaboration and productivity. The next is you should make a strategy. Understanding each person's point of view isn't enough to deal with a team disagreement. It is up to the team leader to devise a strategy for resolving the issue, even if it necessitates the compromise from the rest of your team. Keep in touch is another strategy. Ensure that the persons involved in the contentious situations are followed up with you, and once the conflict has been settled, you will probably notice a extreme important improvement in the team dynamics. Invest in the development of your skills is another strategy for conflict resolution. Anyone may learn how to negotiate and handle the conflict in an efficient manner. So this is frequently accomplished through a training program and bolstered by the leadership coaching. Concentrate on improving your team's ability to solve the internal issues. So this is really going to reduce the need for you to interfere in the future. Leaving unresolved dispute on the table will have a long-run consequences for the company. So you may almost be certain that another quarrel will develop into a future. Prevent it from happening in the first place. So a culture of expectation may be a valuable tool for supporting a healthy way of coping with a team disagreement, as well as preventing a situation conflict from the occurring in the first place and the culture like its priorities. The next is prevent it from happening in the first place. The role and the responsibilities are very clearly defined. The decision-making frameworks that are well understood. The modeling of the leadership, the skill building, all these are really going to help in the conflict resolution strategies. The next is collaborate with the other party in conflict resolution. So many workplace disagreements are caused by misunderstanding, caused by differing communication styles. You may say one thing, but your teammates may interpret in another way. So this is definitely unavoidable. Because in today's digital world, we are frequently talking on Slack. We are working remotely, especially with the outbreak of COVID-19, and may not have met many of our team members in person. So the next is collaborate with one another in a conflict situation is another important and a beautiful strategy to solve the conflict. So this can compound the problems of interpersonal and in particular the team conflict resolution, because there are more personalities and communication preferences and thus more potential for the communication breakdown and the conflict. Inviting the other person to collaborate is an olive march, demonstrating that you are sensitive to your needs, prepared to listen and aware that the resolving workplace conflict is a two-way street. Not to mention that they might really provide some meaningful advice on how to best encourage with them and approach them the conflict resolution in general. So conflicts, these are the possible conflict resolution strategies. Now I will be highlighting the resolution model of Levin, 1998. He gave 9 root causes. The conflict's 9 root causes. The conflict with oneself, unmet needs or wants, the values being tried, perception being questioned, assumptions being formed, knowledge being insufficient, expectations being too high and low, personality, racial or gender differences are all possible reasons of conflict. And of course, the methods which are being given by Levin, they are the resolution model which offers a very good strategy for conflict resolution based on his significant experience. So he gave the 7-step model to solve the resolution. So to name it, the first is develop a resolution attitude. The aforesaid approach will not operate until and unless certain ideals that make up a resolution attitude are initially held. Levin talks about the ideals including believing in plenty, being creative, and trusting your instincts and impulses. The second is tell your narrative. Telling your story entails listening to other person's tales as well as your own. So it's all about comprehending and being comprehended. It's not necessary to find the truth in their story, as it is to respect and comprehend their genuineness. So the third step is seek a primary vision of resolution. Seeking a primary vision of resolution entails considering a solution that addresses all of the situation issues, and it's about moving away from the urge to win and get one's way and towards a shared vision that everyone can believe in. Stay current and complete. Staying current and complete means speaking what most people don't want to say. It necessitates uttering a challenging and often painfully things in order to break free from the emotional prisons that holds us bound to the past. The fifth step is see a future vision. Seeing a future vision entails acquiring a general grasp of the resolution, which serves as a foundation for a new agreement. It necessitates letting go of your desire and what you know isn't going to work and concentrating on what will be. The sixth step is create a new contract. Creating a contract adds a specifics. The objective is to create a discourse map or a formula that maximizes the potential of everyone to achieve their desired outcomes. The next is your resolve. Resolve is the act of returning to action, and one can freely move forward with a new agreement and, of course, a clear mind about the past. Now moving on to the resolution model of Levin 1998. The McDaniel Team Mediation Process Part 2 for the teams dealing with the conflict. The McDaniel, in 1998 provide a step-to-step mediation approach. The mediation approach gives the work group the skills and the structure that is definitely needed to mediate their own conflicts. The first point which is given by him is a communication skill. The first prerequisite is that each team member should be able to understand properly the communication skill as well as the mediation process as a whole. Learning to confront the people, listening to others' concerns, acknowledging competing perspectives, responding appropriately, and committing to a plan of agreed action, they are all a part of these communication abilities. The second step, which is a step-to-step approach given by Levin, is individual certification. The individual certification of the competency for each member, application of mediation skills, and understanding of the procedure is the next criteria. The competency rating are adequate measurement of interpersonal conflict skill usage and are applied in other areas of skill such as the technical competencies. The third step of step-to-step mediation is the environment. The third prerequisite for a successful mediation implementation is for the team to be empowered to resolve their own problems. The team must have the authority to design and implement their own mediation process. The team, for example, begins to construct the system of brainstorming conflict ideas, the negative outcomes, the positive outcomes. The team defines agreed upon the team value system, the expectations, and the procedures during this phase. Setting the team's direction or the boundaries of acceptable behavior is referred to as this process. The next step-to-step process is collectivity. The members of the team are required to recognize and handle the conflicts as a group. The self-reliance in a dispute resolution by a team can arrange for the circumstances involving only the two members to complex scenarios, including all the team members' disagreement. The mediation process equips the team with the ability to deal with the conflict on both the ends of the spectrum. Now coming on to another model given by Rainsky and Bryant. The Rainsky and Bryant in the year 1994 defines the team resolution process as the process by which an individual accepts and makes a conscious personal commitment to act on an opportunity to improve his or her performance when presented with one. He gave a 3-step approach, and of course with the growing conflicts, if you use these 3 approaches, it is bound to solve the conflicts, out of which the first is a collaboration. When dispute arises, it should be handled informally in a private environment between 2 team members. Individuals can self-correct their behavior via this approach for the collaboration, which eliminates the need for the official disciplinary action. The second is your mediation process. The mediation is the second step. The situation becomes too heated. The mediator is called as in and to help both the parties reach a particular agreement. And when a conflict between the team members becomes disruptive and attempts at the collaboration fail, this step of mediation is required. The effects are made to link the problem to the needs of the client or the organization. So the success of this stage is to determine by the mediator's neutrality and the degree to which the team trusts him or her. The third important step is a team counseling. The team counseling is a third step, and if the collaboration and the mediating efforts fail, this is the last resort for setting and increasing team issue. So the team counseling takes place during a team meeting with all the team members present. The problem is given together with all the facts that surround a particular dispute. Now coming on to the team conflict resolution schemes of Vinsky. So when a person joins a team, he or she enters into an independent and interdependent relationship with the another team members. And although it may appear that a person is sacrificing their individuality, their contribution to the team delivers a better result than individuals' work. So Vinsky was a Polish politician, and he gave this conflict resolution strategy way back in 1995. The advice is that the team members employ the following 6 abilities to establish the healthy conflict connections, so which are necessary for the resolving conflict. The first is your participation. The participation denotes a balanced level of involvement in a particular team. The member is neither excessively withdrawn nor overwhelming or dominant. Each member is aware of his balance and assists the other in maintaining their own. The second is your claim. Individual members must be able to claim their ideas. And when a team member proposes a different solution to an issue, for example, the member is prepared ahead of the time and provides the essential perspective on what this means for the entire team. And furthermore, the member can defend his or her point of view with the logic rather than with the passion. Then we have the third point called relinquishing. Relinquishing refers to a team member's ability to withdraw his or her own viewpoint And if it does not, receive a team support, the team members relinquishes his or her position in the favor of a team-wide decision. The next is your evaluating. It is the job of each team member to evaluate the work of the team and provide the input on another improving of the failures. The next step is a healthy environment. The relationship sabotages the process of effectively handling the conflict. Each team member is accountable for fostering the supportive and healthy connections, and there's a great deal of pressure on the individuals to handle the dispute amongst the team members. Next we have the team accomplishments. A team member obligation in a functioning team position is to grasp what items and tasks they are responsible for, and this includes the understanding when activities must be accomplished as well as the actions required to complete each activity. So these were the few important the conflict resolution strategies which we had to discuss. So just a small recap of what we have done today, and the beautiful strategies which are on the way in terms of the implementation can really go a long way in solving the conflict resolution and make organization a conflict-free organization. Although conflict to some extent is good because it builds the organization, but if unsolved and if the attention is not given to a growing conflicting situation, it can be disastrous for the organization. So first we discussed about don't worry about winning or being correct. Look for a root cause rather than a person to blame. Look for a root cause, and of course if you are able to pinpoint the root cause, it is going to be wonderful for the organization as far as the conflicting resolution strategies are concerned. So you need to define what constitutes the acceptable behavior. It is going to be very good for the organization to move forward with this. So sometimes we can also offer don't avoid a conflict. So there are numerous ways to respond to any kind of a disagreement in the workplace, depending upon the type of the person and the manager you are. So don't avoid a conflict, and of course dealing with such issues is very responsibility as a manager. You have a authority and use it when necessary. So staying away is another strategy, followed by the diverse viewpoints and experiences of individuals can result in one of the conflict resolution styles, like possessiveness, making consensus, pick a neutral situation and a location, and recognize the indicators of a group's strive and try to solve them. You need to pay attention to your relationships. You need to make a strategy. You need to keep in touch with the people, because it always good and beneficial if you take a follow-up. And once a conflict has been settled, you'll probably notice an improvement in a team dynamics. So you need to invest in the development of your skills, prevent it from happening in the first place, and collaborate with others party in case of the conflicting resolution strategy. And of course we discussed the Levin's model. What are the 9-stage model? You need to develop a resolution attitude, tell your narratives to the people, seek a preliminary vision of resolution. You need to stay current and complete. You need to see your future visions, create a new contract, try and resolve it. So all these things are actually beneficial and give a long way in creating an environment in which the conflicts are the least.